As I previously mentioned on my earlier email, that's like a recognize.
As I explained thoroughly in the previous email, please see below.
As I explained
Yeah.
thoroughly, you fucking idiot. This is grim. We're grim. Let's talk about love. Comedy.
Yes. What a great introduction to talk about our rom-com episode. But on note of that, welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and get super grim on and off camera. I'm your host, Pretentious Soundtrack.
I am not your host, and I can already tell by your title, Dan, what one of your movies is going to be. Just off the title. But anyway, I am not your host. Number 37, Breakfast is for Closers. I mean, 35.
Oh, sorry. I'm Marie from. I'm Marie. At Marie Plays All. Is that what we do now? Is that what we do now?
Yeah, sure. We can do whatever we want. It's our podcast.
Yeah.
So, on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about rom-coms of the 2000s. Even though Jose wanted to hit us with the 90s, me and Marie felt like the 2000s had way better ones, but we want to hit different decades of rom-com movies. So
I got vetoed so hard.
So hard.
You didn't even know it.
No.
Just so the listeners know, I printed out a very nice, eloquent, bought the best font there is, structure of what the episode was going to be for these 90s rom-com. And then I mailed it to them with a 50-cent stamp. And then they actually sent me a video of them ripping it in front of the camera to tell me no. It was horrible.
Mine was delivered as a tiny little scroll from a pigeon, and then I set it ablaze for you. And I was like, nope.
I had a singing quartet that came in. They sang it to me.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But it was kind of like the movie Clue, where she came in with the singing quartet and I just shot her with a gun right in the doorway. But that's for a different movie.
Yeah. See, I would have been okay with that. But Marie, you didn't have to cook the bird. You could have just sent them back.
She wanted chicken wings.
I hate birds. Yeah, the little bird breast tastes good. Pigeon breast.
I mean, breast always tastes good, but anyways. So first, we're gonna hit him with a current event.
It's recently been rumored out there that they're gonna do another Karate Kid. This is separate from Cobra Kai. I think it's it might be a sequel to the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, but it's not gonna involve Jaden. And the rumor storyline is going to be that it's actually going to take place in Brooklyn, where you possibly you have someone from, I think it was China, is actually going to move to Brooklyn. And then they're going to be training an adult man on how to defend himself against the things that he's dealing with in Brooklyn. This is all speculation, all rumor. But if this is the case, it does change the story dynamic a little bit. Does it change it for the better? Is this something you would be interested in? Or do you feel like, nah, I'll stick with Cobra Kai? Dan?
I've never seen a Karate Kid movie, so you guys talk amongst yourselves.
You haven't seen a single Karate Kids movie?
I don't think so.
God. Kevin would
remember
hate you
that,
so much
Dan.
Right now.
Remember that, Dan.
I'm gonna remember that. Wow. Yeah.
Oh well.
And she's so nonchalant about not watching these movies. She's like, I've never seen that classic. It's like, so many people grew up on that. That's childhood memories. But okay, so them doing another Karate Kid movie. Jackie Chan, he was cool. I liked him. Them bringing him back, it feels kind of like Batman, where it's like, we're going to show you a few different universes. They're not connected. Don't get confused, but we're going to have different versions of the same story. Why? Do we need more Karate Kid? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It feels like it's a money grab trying to play off of the popularity of Cobra Kai and the success of Cobra Kai. Because honestly, I don't think that Karate Kid reboot was very successful. I don't remember it being received very well by the diehard fans of the original Karate Kids. So I feel that it's kind of like, hey, Cobra Kai has been a hit. People love it. Let's jump on board before Cobra Kai ends and like try to get on that train. The money train.
Everything's about the money train.
It is, except for the movie, The Money Train. Ironically enough,
that's just a regular train.
That's just a regular train. Yeah,
just a regular train.
But there is people holding money while on the train. But whatever.
No, I want a train that's actually made out of money.
You know when you see the people that like eat those steaks and they get like gold flakes on it and they spend like $2,500 to do it just to say that they ate gold? Doesn't taste. I mean, really, does it taste better?
But you're gold. Like what? Why?
Ah, that's
Yeah.
the point. You
That
just
would be cool to say that. You should
that would be
go.
pretty cool. Let's get into our movie topic. So, first of all, we want to talk about the 2000s decade, right? How do you guys like rom-coms in general? You guys love them?
Yes.
Tell me why. Tell me why,
Just a
Marie.
resounding yes.
Yeah.
Because I am an emotional sack of estrogen and I love love. And I grew up watching, well, hello, I got my Dirty Dancing hoodie on. Not really a comedy, but I think I was introduced to like Pretty Woman and Dirty Dancing and Ghost at far too young of an age. So anything to do with like love and romance, I was like obsessed with from since I was like really young. So I love rom-coms and romance movies. It's like horror and romance. They kind of go together a little bit too because they're both petrifying, but they're my two faves.
I was gonna say that's a clean transition, right? From romantic comedies straight to horror. I get it. What about you, Jose?
Yeah, no, I do enjoy them. I feel lately, maybe over the last like 5 to 8 years, something like that, I haven't been watching them that much. But honestly, I don't know if there's really been good ones coming out. I mean, we've already talked about like comedy dying off as a whole when it comes to media. So maybe there just hasn't been the quality that's like pulled me in, and the calm part of it has been heavily reduced when it
Mm.
comes to these. And I like a good balance with my rom com, you know, a good amount of rom and a good of calm. Let me make sure I pronounce that the right way.
Thank you. Hey, this is a kid show.
I had to hesitate there. All right, good amount of calm. And, if it's too much
We can't be
calm,
calming all over the place, Jose. Come
yeah,
on, we gotta keep it together.
exactly. If it's too much calm, it can be too much and just overshadows everything. If it's too much rom, then you know you need the calm too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for perfect balance. I'll leave it at that. What about you, Dan?
Yeah. I know like the 80s and 90s they were known for being so cheesy and it seemed like it kind of transitioned and it seemed like the 2000s was like we're going to make some really good rom-com movies. So they try to make
Mm.
like more like real ones. And now I don't even know what they are anymore. Like the closest things to like those 80s 90s rom-coms are like Hallmark movies. Right? Like probably
Mm.
Yeah, I
like
think the last rom com that I watched and it was horrible was
You
was that
People.
Netflix? Was it You People?
Yeah.
And that was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's
See, I
different now.
haven't.
So
Yeah, I like I like a lot of them from the '90s and some like from the '80s, late '80s, and then some from the early 2000s. But then I like it more heavy on the rom rather than the calm. Sometimes too much calm is too much. Okay, um, but I say I love them, but I only really love the ones I really love because there's a lot of them I haven't watched because they are like a little too cheesy. But when I find ones that I really love, I'll watch them over and over and over and over again.
so let's get into our list of our favorite movies and why. Who wants to start us off?
I'm gonna go with non-traditional rom-com. I'm gonna go with A Knight's Tale,
Mm.
starring Heath Ledger,
Oh,
Shannon
Sossaman.
Sossaman, and
Mhm.
even
Oh,
though
mm,
not one of the two leads, but I have to mention them because he steals a lot of scenes. Alan Tudyk.
He was in
Yeah.
Dodgeball.
Yeah, he's always good at
Yeah.
everything that he does. Is always minor roles. Uh, but yeah, I've always really enjoyed this movie, and then I rewatched it, and I still enjoyed it. It was funny. Heath Ledger. This is back before when Heath Ledger was kind of considered a rom com person. He wasn't really taken serious as an actor at this point, which
Hmm.
he ended up proving wrong going forward. But I mean, it has a good love story in it. But besides the love story too, it's also a good story about just overcoming odds and overcoming your position in life, especially during that time frame, because it is like a period piece where you're born is where you stay. So it's a story of kind of overcoming that. So it mixes everything. It mixes love for a significant other. So that kind of love, but also love for friends, love for family. So it mixes all of that together on top of just being really entertaining overall. And then, it has like a line in there that I remember when I first watched it the first couple times, I would say all the time as a joke. And it's repeated multiple times, which is you've been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting. And that's like the line that's repeated throughout it. I was like, oh, that's such a good like line from like the villain. And then you get which brings me to my like favorite scene in there is when you have the final face off, because the villain does a good job of just making you dislike him the whole time. He's such a like pretentious prick. So when they finally defeated him and he hits him with the same line again that he's been getting hit with the whole
Ooh.
movie, and they're like, you've been weighed, you've been measured, and you've been found wanting, as he's like lying on his back, like defeated. So it's such a, again, entertaining movie, good story, and just real feel good in the end.
That's ironic. That's exactly what I say to my pizza. That's the exact same quote I give when I'm looking at it. You've been measured. You've been weighted. I saw that movie. Shannon Sossaman was like one of like the queens of rom coms around that era, man. She was popping up in a lot of different things. I'm a fan of her. I like her. The movie was good. I liked it. I've seen it maybe twice, I think. But yeah, it was good, man. Heath Ledger, that was when he could really prove that he was like a leading guy. I think that was his first lead, right? Because 10 Things I Hate About You, he wasn't the
Yeah, he
lead.
wasn't
He
really the
wasn't,
lead.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
he stole the show, but he wasn't the lead.
I agree with
yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, it's not the perfect movie. There are some things in it that are like the fact that everyone knows Queen and it's a period piece,
Yeah.
and everyone is rich and poor are singing and going to the beat of Queen. It's one of those. It has all the cliches, like everyone knowing the same dance. When they do stuff. So it has all those cliches. So it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
it was a movie that I just always liked and always enjoyed when I watched it.
I'm gonna go with more of the because the other ones aren't really like stereotypical. I like more of a romantic dramedies, I guess you'd say. And the first one I'm gonna say is more of a stereotypical one, and it is probably my favorite male love interest character, one of them in any rom-com. You're gonna laugh at me. It's Fever Pitch with Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've seen that one. I hated it because it was based off the Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't care about that, so it didn't bother me. I was like, cool, aw, he has a passion. That's nice. Um, so I don't know if people haven't seen it, but it's like a classic opposites attract, but will it like divide them type movie where Jimmy Fallon's like a school teacher and like are school teachers not respected in America and do they like make no
No.
money? Because
Yep.
here it's like if you're a teacher, you're like, yeah, and they make good money.
No, they make
So,
It's
nothing.
different.
what
Oh,
year is that movie from?
2003, maybe?
2003. So about 20 years ago. The
Yeah.
situation has not changed.
Oh,
When it
that's
comes to
sad.
teachers, they're highly undervalued, disrespected, and not
Hmm.
always given the freedom to do what they're supposed to do, which is teach the
Okay.
kids.
Okay, it's kind of different here, and because I was like, they're like, oh, he's just a teacher. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Anyway, um, so I just remember watching it the first time the scene that like this isn't my favorite scene, but the first scene that got me like really into it was when he shows up for their first date and she has food poisoning and he stays and takes care of her and cleans all of her stuff and everything while she's sick laying in bed. I was like, oh man. And then he stays the night and then oh man. It's just so sweet. And she's all pukey and he stayed to help. I thought that was sweet. But anyway, so he's like obsessed with the Red Sox and she's like kind of like a workaholic. And they date, and then of course there's conflict with that. And the whole time I'm like, you know what? If someone's like has like a passion or like an obsession or a hobby like that they're so into, then it's like, well, at least it's proof that they can be loyal and dedicated to something. I think it's good. I was more on his side during the whole movie, but I mean, he did freak out on her one time, which was not good. But anyway, I love Fever Pitch. I love Jimmy Fallon's like awkward, funny character, but like really down to earth. So that's why he's like one of my favorites. And my favorite scene is I hope I don't cry this day. We'll see. My favorite scene is when him and Drew Barrymore are like walking in the park and he stops because he's like, "Oh, I wrote a list of things I like about you." And like, what girl wouldn't want to hear that? And then one of the things he says is, he says, "When you're getting ready in the mirror, just about when you're finished, you go like this." And it's just so cute. I want to kill myself. And it's like my favorite line. And not and yeah, maybe any rom-com. I was gonna say chick flick, sorry. Just because it's like when you really have feelings like that so strongly for somebody, you notice and appreciate all those little tiny endearing qualities that they have. And you don't notice that unless you're like really like into them. And it's just what a cute thing to love about someone. It's just cute. I love that movie.
The little details. I think that might have been one of Fallon's biggest roles, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly. I can't like if someone would be like, "Hey, name a Jimmy Fallon movie," that's the first one that pops in my head.
That one, and he did the
I
one with
don't
Queen Latifah, Taxi, that bombed and
Yeah.
ultimately ended his movie career.
know.
On a less
He's
happy
great
note.
in Fever Pitch. He's great in
Yeah.
Fever Pitch.
I saw it once, and I remember that it happened to be the year that the Red Sox won the World
Mhm.
Series. So they had them there on, and they happened to be there filming. So they ran down on the field and did all that, which is crap, right, Jose? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
For the
All right.
movie,
All right. So one I went with was 500 Days of Summer. Love 500 Days of Summer. So I love it because it takes a different approach to the typical traditional rom-com. You show the romance and then you show the breakup and you show the heartbreak. You show the guy trying to get her back until he eventually comes up with acceptance and then moves on. It's just an interesting premise. I like the soundtrack for it, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Zoe Deschanel had really good chemistry for it. And I really like the movie because there's a couple of great scenes in it. There's one where there's like a full-on dance sequence, which I just loved. As they're playing music, it looked like a full-on musical. And there's a shot where Joseph Gordon-Levitt looks into the reflection of himself in the car, trying to prep himself up, and it's Han Solo from Star Wars. So like that's how he sees himself. So you kind of break the realism there, which was awesome. But there's a montage where he's looking at her and he's naming off all the things that he just loves about her. It's the birthmark on her chest, it's the way she smiles, the way she grins, all this stuff. And then when they're breaking up, it's so realistic because you're forcibly trying to get over somebody. So you start talking about all the things that you hate. And it's the exact same montage, but now all the same things that he loved are the things that he hates. And it just gets to her. And for somebody that's ever been in love or been, in a serious relationship that's ended, it's so real. And it takes a real interesting approach on that. So I thought it was a good job. I was a fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt when I saw that movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite rom-com movies to go to.
Mhm.
I do agree. That was actually one that was on my list too. That I know that they're great movie overall. Although I remember rewatching it years later, and I was like, "Damn, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is kind of a stalker. He's kind of creepy, in some of his actions." And then I started thinking, I was like, "Wait a second, he was also very creepy in 10 Things I Hate About You." His character on that one, I was like, there's a pattern here, Joseph. There's a
Yeah.
pattern.
We got consistency.
Yeah. No, but that was really good movie. I enjoyed the incorporation of music within it and the soundtrack. It fit it very well. And I like that it showed, like you mentioned, that whole journey and the whole coping with the aspects of what's happening within that journey overall. So I like that. Good choice.
Thank you.
I've only seen it one time and I liked it. I liked it as a film, but I haven't watched it since because it made me too depressed the first time I watched it.
You got to watch
I
it a second time. You'll pick up more things.
well now because when it first came out is when I watched it, and now as like a grown ass woman, I will appreciate it a lot more. But just back in the day, I'm like, no, I don't want to think about unhappy endings with love right now, please. I was just, I couldn't watch it ever
Yeah.
again. But I want to now because I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and yeah, it'll be more real now, so I want to watch it.
That makes sense. 'Cause I think when I watched it, it was an opposite situation where it was like, damn it, heartbreak. Yes, that's how it is in real life.
That's what I
Like
was. That's real. You see that? Do you
that's
see that?
real.
That's
See that?
realistic. Don't
This
sit here and
movie didn't
portray
lie to
it.
me.
Yeah, we didn't lie. Trying to sit there and say that I love the way that she just smirks like that in the mirror. Come on, that's not realistic. Kidding,
Well, I can
kidding.
see maybe boys being like, yeah, because it's a girl who leaves a guy, right? And then I can see maybe it's a little bit different. But me, I'm
But
like, why
no,
is she leaving
yeah.
him? Don't leave him now.
It's what Jose said. It's like you, when you first watch it, at least for us as men, you identify immediately with the main character. But then as you start to watch it again, you're like, she's kind of right. Like she's kind of the right one on this. And that's a you issue. And even though, I don't really want to give it away too much, but he's into her. She's not trying to stay as committed. He ends up finding out she ends up committed with somebody else. You just weren't the one. You just weren't hers. Like
Yeah.
there's a big difference with like that's real, man.
And it's true. That's something in real life that people sometimes have trouble, especially the younger you are, accepting is that timing is very important, and not
Mm-hmm.
everyone's on the same time frame.
Yep.
And that can lead to, you know, mixed feelings, hates, dislike, like anger, and a lot of stuff. But in the end, it was just like you're both on different timelines. In the end,
Yeah.
was maybe none of you are wrong. I'm gonna pick this one because it kind of goes with what you were saying. Dan and the other one, how 5 Days of Summer, he pictured all the good things, then pictured the bad things. I'm gonna go with Forgetting Sarah Marshall with
Mm-hmm.
Jason
Yeah.
Segel,
I
Christian
love that one.
Bell, Mila
Love it.
Kunis, Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Uh, First of all, hilarious movie
Mm-hmm.
overall, but it had a great cast where even the side characters had their moments to shine and make you laugh. You had Paul Rudd, Jonah Hill in there. It was all really good. And then the songs get stuck in your head in there, especially
Yeah.
Russell Brand song, the Inside You. Like I remember after I watched it, I was just like that song was stuck in my head over and over again. And then Jason Segel's, vampire musical song that was like stuck in my head after I watched it. And then I think at the end, my favorite scene in there, it's a small scene. It's towards the beginning of the movie, but it's between Bill Hader and Jason Segel, where he's trying to console him, make him feel better. So he's like, she was kind of a bitch and stuff. And Jason, he responds defensively. He was like, she's better than your wife, or something like that. And you see Bill Hader just like lose it, where he's just like, we're not even blood. I have no qualm sticking you. I will equalize you, you
Yeah.
dick. And it just went from 0 to
I will
100.
stick you.
I lost it in that scene. But there was so many moments like that. I feel this movie was a great balance of getting a good rom story on two ends, but then also making you laugh throughout the entire thing.
It does. Jonah Hill was amazing in it. It just went from 6 to midnight. I quote him so much. And then when he's there working, he's like, no, I cannot sell you marijuana. I'm here at my place of work, the place that you called me at. And then Paul Rudd in it. I love that movie, and I go back to it at least once every few years. So good call.
Okay, it's called Shop Girl, Claire Danes, Steve Martin, Jason Schwartzman.
Okay, good.
And it's based on a novella written by Steve Martin, and it's about a girl who has two men interested in her. One of them's older and proper and rich and a businessman, and the other one's immature and awkward and struggling artist in a sense. So it's like the one guy, the man, Steve Martin, he's like more open and obviously interested in Claire Danes, but he needs to mature in the way where he can't open up his feelings and everything. And then Jason Schwartzman's like whatever. He's just like, if you watch it, he's just like living in this like squalor apartment and he's just like kind of whatever. So there's like aspects of like depression in the movie that I really like. And it's to me at the time I watched it was like probably when you guys watched 500 Days of Summer is like when I watched this movie, which is why it really hit me hard. And it was just like that feeling of like really loving somebody and wanting to be with them so badly and knowing that they just can't emotionally open up to you and give you what you want. and you have no choice to be like, well, you can't give me what I need, so whatever. And to me, I was just like, damn, that's it. I don't know if like every human has gone through that, or just girls, or what, with you boys not opening up and allowing to get close, because it got to me. So I really like that one. It's really like whimsical music in it. The color palette's really good. It's kind of like a slower, long, drawn out scenes and stuff, and it's like narrated by Steve Martin as well. And that's it.
I've actually never seen that one. Yeah,
No,
that's one
my
that I haven't seen.
My favorite scene is there's one scene where I'm not going to explain the whole scene, but Jason Schwartzman just says to Claire Danes, "But I'll protect you," and it makes me cry every single time. I'm not giving you any context. That's all he says, and it makes me cry every time.
Cry right
It's always
now,
the
Marie.
words,
Cry.
man. Words get me.
Don't they all? Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It's one that you've been telling me to watch, so I'll definitely check it out. I have so many movies on my list. 2000s has like, in my opinion, like I can't even say I'm not like a rom-com guy, because clearly I am. There's like a bunch that I have on my list, but a lot of them are in the 2000s. So it's extremely difficult, but I can't go an episode without mentioning Amelie. Kind of had to go with it.
Okay.
What? You like that one, Dan?
Who knew, right?
What?
I cannot say it. Everything that you were talking about with the color palette, it's French cinema. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, as I named my French bulldog after. I love the movie. It's super cute. I love the main character. She's super cute in it. It's such a funny, cute, whimsical style of the way that he portrays this. I'm a stylistic nut. Like, I love it. Not all of it turns out good. A lot of it can become pretentious, but this one, I feel like they did it really well. It has such an interesting look on how they tell the story, where they break the fourth wall. The character looks at you and interacts with you as the audience, which I really loved. It was a nice relationship to show how you have a character that's society is kind of thrown to the side and is like an outcast, and she falls in love with an outcast guy, and they both have like their weird quirks, and the whole movie's compromised of how everybody has these weird quirks, and we see that. My favorite scene in the movie has probably just the montage, the opening montage, how they're going through her life story, and you're seeing all that playing out. It's so cool. Like, you see how she becomes, like how her mother dies and the thing flies from like the church and lands on. It's they add a comedic tale to morbid ideas, but they make it very happy and nice. So, Marie, piggyback.
So I said Amelie is the most adorable and endearing character that I've ever seen in a movie. And she
Yes.
seamlessly possesses childlike innocence and fierceness. Like,
Yes.
seamlessly is just like, right?
Yes.
I started watching it the other day and I laughed so many times. And I said, it's such a simple story about a girl who finds a box of memories hidden in the wall of her apartment, and she goes on the hunt that is amazingly directed to feel intensely adventurous when it's just so simple. And she wants to find out who it belongs to. And she simultaneously learns about herself. She helps others with their lives, and she finds love. And I said, you can count on the French to take something so simple and completely amplify it and blow it out of proportion. Completely. Right. Just like something simple, just make it like. And I said the color palette and warmth is amazing and palpable, and it's clever and witty and romantic and artistic, and it makes me laugh so many times, not only because of the clever wit, but because of how brilliantly magical it is. And my favorite scene is when she suddenly comes face to face with her love interest, and it's a quiet, delicate, romantic scene, and you can feel so much romantic tension and release in it, and not a word is spoken, and I just love it so much.
I'm gonna go with Wedding Crashers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Isla Fisher, Rachel McAdam, and then, even though not part of the main love interests per se, Bradley Cooper. This is actually the first role I saw Bradley Cooper in that I recalled. Wasn't that one? Wasn't that
in that movie or in general?
I hate his face so much in every movie. He's good as fine, be Rocket, that's fine, but I can't look at him.
What about Limitless? You didn't like Limitless?
No, I hate it. I can't stand that dude's face, man. He looks like that. He looks like that character from Ice Age with like the googly with them. What is he, a weasel? Sorry, Bradley Cooper, if you ever see this, but nah.
Well, Limitless came out after this movie. This is the first role that I remember, at least major role, that I saw him and recognized him or whatever was in this movie. But
Mhm.
the movie it was so funny. There was so many one-liners. I remember when that movie came out, it was just being quoted left and right. There was so many one-liners that people like loved. I remember people trying to get a hold of the full rule book that they had, the Wedding Crashers rule book, because they named it. So everyone was looking for the full list of everything. And then one was actually created, I believe. And then that went like out there. Um, but again, it's one of the movies, no matter how many times I watched it, I was always laughing throughout it. And Rachel McAdams makes a great rom-com female character in this. There's something about her that it just screams like great rom-com overall. And I think my favorite scene in there was just the whole beginning wedding montage behind it, where you see them in the different types of weddings, different cultural weddings, and how they assimilate to like everything to like fit in. Uh, Completely unrealistic, but still really fun to watch. And Christopher Walken's in it. So, but yeah, I had to go with this one. I just rewatched it again, and I was still laughing throughout it.
Motorboat. I just remember.
You motorboating son of a bitch.
That one came out. I remember being so hilarious, and then 40-Year-Old Virgin came out shortly after, and that to me, I'm like, oh man, that one. Even though that's not a rom com, well,
Yeah, it is.
you can kind of argue that
Yeah.
it is, yeah. But like
I
that
think it
one,
is.
kind of, in my opinion, kind of overshadowed a little bit in terms of comedy. But Wedding Crashers is still hilarious, man. That one I wouldn't mind getting a sequel.
Yeah. What I think was
Hmm.
good about it is that you got uh yes, the main focus is on Owen Wilson and Rachel McAdams, but in a way you have two love stories happening because you also have Vince Vaughn and Isla Fishers. And there's
Hmm.
two completely different relationships, two completely like interactions and personalities and all of that. So it's a movie that was able to give you this perspective of how different types of people can end up at the same endpoint, but take a completely different journey towards it.
She was so good in that, Isla Fisher.
Okay, I have a really quick one here. He's just not that into you. I like that one. It has Bradley Cooper. Again, such a dick in this movie. Bradley
That's
Cooper,
why you
Ben
hate him.
Affleck. No, I just can't eat that dude's face. I remember he got voted sexiest man alive one year, and I was just like, um, okay, Bradley Cooper, Ben Affleck, Justin Long, Jennifer Aniston, Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Connelly, Drew Barrymore. Like it's just everyone in this movie, and it's just I don't know, relationship struggles from all different types of relationships, and all the cast members' lives are intertwined. And it's based on the book He's Just Not Into You, which I think every girl should read and every girl should watch this movie because sometimes, you know what, he's just not that into you. He just ain't. And I watched this movie at time when I really needed it, and I was like, God damn, if he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would. You know what? Every girl watch it, especially if you're like, dating scene younger. Because my favorite scene though is when Jennifer Aniston's character, because her and Ben Affleck are together and they've been together for 7 years, and he doesn't want to get married, and she really wants to get married. And then they break up because of that. But he loves her. He doesn't want anyone else. He just want to get married. And then her dad has a heart attack, and her siblings and everybody are worthless and not helping at all. And then she goes in the kitchen one day, and Ben Affleck's there, even though they're broken up, and he's doing all the dishes. And she's like starts crying. And then she said, "You know what? I don't need to get married. You are a better husband to me than any of my sister's husbands." And then he ends up proposing to her. I love that scene too.
In a way, it's kind of like reverse 500 days of summer, where the fact that it was just like he's the one who didn't want to go to the next level and not take
Hmm.
it serious, while she is the one that wanted to, compared to the other movie where it was the other way around. But if ladies are going to be watching that, then man, you watch She's Just Not That Into You.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was too is like he was into her. He just didn't want to get married. There's just a wedding. He didn't care. And I don't know, she really wanted it for some reason, but he did it
Never
for her anyway.
Never seen it, but the title makes so much sense. Like, women at least not all, obviously, but some try to complicate guys too much, and we're just very simple. Sometimes it's just you don't need to think that hard. And so when it says like that title, he just not that into you. For us guys, it's like, yeah, it's right there. my actions is showing that I'm just not that into you. So I would assume that the title signifies that, but I've never read the book, never seen the movie. Sometimes
That's
it
the
is that
hard
simple.
I know, and that's what because we're so complex, we just don't want to accept. We can't accept it. So we're like, well, why?
Yeah.
I just
He's smarter than that. He's special. He's different. No, he's a guy. We're simple.
yeah, he's just a dude, ladies. Move
Just a
on.
dude. We're not that complicated sometimes. We are not. Doesn't have to be. But all right. I was gonna do I have a bunch. I was gonna name Garden State, but you said you don't consider Garden State a rom-com. So I'll pick another one. I'll go with Just
I do.
Friends.
It
Too
is
late.
a
You already said
rom-com.
it. I already threw it
I
out
said
there. So it's all right.
Yeah.
Watch Garden State. I liked it, but whatever. Natalie Portman, amazing in it. I love Natalie Portman. But Just Friends. I'm gonna go with Ryan Reynolds. Love it. Anna Faris. What's my favorite scene? Every freaking scene with Anna Faris in it. She steals a movie. She's awesome in it. It's hilarious, man. Like it's Ryan Reynolds doing Ryan Reynolds. It's like pre Deadpool where he's able to just kind of ad lib. You even have the guy from American Pie. I don't know what his name is, but like the guy that's like trying to woo what's her name, Amy Smart, and trying to steal his woman. But you see him kind of going
Yes.
back, and now he's Hollywood. And Anna Faris plays like a Britney Spears type personality. She is so perfect for that role. It's about where he's traveling somewhere and their plane goes down, so he's stuck having to go back to his old hometown that he tried to outgrow because he was just like a fat kid with bunch of braces that got embarrassed. Now he's like super slim. Now he's, fit and all that stuff. But you see that the town doesn't really care about that. So like his ego is taking a battering as the movie goes on. But I love the movie, man. It's hilarious. Anna Faris, Ryan Reynolds, crush it.
I would say that one was actually on my list too. That's one of the ones too. The many times I rewatch it, I'm still laughing through it. It was such an interesting concept because there's so many people who deal with that. It's like who they were at a certain stage when they were young and when they're in high school is not who they turn out to be when they get into adult. Sometimes those insecurities that happen from those moments that you run through in college and high school can lead you to, motivate you to progress yourself. But then here we have someone who progressed and did whatever they can to go against everything they felt insecure about. But when they go back to their hometown and back around those same people and back around that same love interest, all those insecurities came back for him. And he didn't know how to handle it to the point where he was just messing everything up. So I think that little underlying storyline there was also a good touch to it on top of the comedy.
Well, I knew that both you guys would have that on your list. And that just proves that guys aren't that complicated. They're not.
We're really just
Also-
into just being friends.
Also, I never said that Garden State wasn't a comedy. I said the comedy that is in Shop Girl is like the same as Garden State.
If you were cast in a 2000 rom-com, who's your love interest? I'm gonna
Okay.
guess Bradley Cooper.
I know it's that love-hate relationship. I know that'd be a horror movie. I'd pick him
Yes.
and I'd murder him in his sleep. I picked Paul Rudd, and I thought about this extremely
Damn it, you too.
Is that yours?
I had that too. We all had Brad. Yeah, we all had.
How can
we
you
all
not
had
choose Paul Rudd?
Yeah, man. Paul Rudd's everybody's
Paul
crush.
Rudd. Well, I just feel like so I thought about it practically. Just because I'm like, I feel like if I was working with him on a movie, he'd be like a really calming and comforting presence, and he'd keep things light and fun. I like his comedic style. He seems like he'd be professional and respectful. He doesn't seem like pretentious, and I think he's like such a big name that the box office would be really good, and then we'd make more money. So that's why I co-star in a movie with him, Paul Rudd.
Without thinking,
Okay.
what's the premise? Go.
He's a school teacher and I overwork and he's obsessed with the sports team. But I think that being a teacher is an honorable job, and I like him for that.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah. See, I looked at this as if not like I'm filming the movie of a rom-com.
I know.
If I was in the story of the rom-com itself, and I had to go with Rachel
I avoided that.
I had to go with
Rachel
Rachel McAdams. It's that smile. There's something about that smile. I was just like, especially after rewatching like Wedding Crashers. I was like, Rachel McAdams. I'm gonna have to go with her.
She's
She's my
Canadian, that's
choice.
why.
It's the
She
Canadians.
is? I did not
There
know
you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Do you have a premise for us, Jose?
I crashed her sister's wedding, and that's where my character meets her, and I try to impress her really hard, but then I ended up being found out, and she sends me away and doesn't want to talk to me, and I have to earn my way back in when my best friend marries her sister.
Nice. I like it.
Completely original.
Completely original. Good. I went with Jessica Alba. She was girl next door. You know, she seemed like the type that could be very bookly, you know, very, very kind of nerdy, a little bit of a nerdiness to her, you know. And maybe if she puts a little bit of makeup, maybe she could be kind of cute, you know, maybe serviceable. Let's say that. She could be kind of serviceable. What's the premise of the movie? My hand gets a little bit idled, kind of, you know, becomes like a horror movie, and I kind of have to control it. And just to help me so it's not possessed, I was just trying to kill people and possibly myself. Kind of make it like a horror romance, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, all romances are
Rom-com horror. Oh no, wait, no, that doesn't work.
What's an overrated 2000s rom-com movie?
I'll start this one off. Just because I was laughing earlier. My pick was Garden State. For overrated
Ooh.
2000s.
It did
Like,
get too much. It did get a little bit of too
I
much
remember
credit.
everyone talking about Garden State. You got to watch Garden State. It's so good. It's the movie of our generation. It's one of the best stories that there is. So much good writing, blah, blah, this. So I remember finally I was like, all right, I'm going to watch Garden State. And I ended up actually buying it to watch it because I went to like a little movie store and they were selling DVDs for like, get 4 for like $20 or something like that. And I saw that. I'm like, hey, might as well grab it, $5. And then I watched it and I was like, this is it. This is what everyone is like hyping up to like this level.
Yes.
It
But
just felt like
the shins.
it's no,
Come on.
it lived off of his music and soundtrack. It had a really good soundtrack and I feel that's
Guardians
what this
did. Guardians had a lot of the soundtrack, my friend.
This lived off of that. It felt like it was trying to be really profound, and it just ended up coming off as pretentious for the most of the parts. It wasn't a movie because it was leaning more towards the rom and the drama than the comedy. So it's not like a 50 First Dates was leaning more towards the comedy. So you had a lot of silly moments that you accept as silly moments if when things get weird. This was not portrayed as silly. It was more towards the drama and cop. And there was just so many weird, cringy moments where it felt like they were trying to be like this, like, oh my God, this is so artistic. And it just came out more as cringy. Like, why are they acting like that? Why are they doing that? So I remember I closed it. I'm like, I never watched the movie again. I was like, no, why? I don't know why people hype this up so much. So that was
Natalie
my
Portman.
overrated rom-com.
Natalie Portman, and soundtracks can absolutely be a powerful tool for a movie.
Her character was weird as fuck.
I relate to that character, man. I remember watching that movie, and I'm like, I'm not Natalie Portman in
being
this
weird.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying yes. I saw the quirkiness of the characters too, and it's like a different. They didn't just take the traditional route of a normal rom-com for me. That's why when we talk about like 50 First Dates, like that's just like a boring, generic rom-com that you're just relying on a bunch of Adam Sandler stuff, and it's like.
Bro, that scene when he's outside the trailer and he was like, I don't know, something along the line like, I'll see you, or when you look into the abyss, and the guy is like, you too, and he's just like, or like looking up, and then they just climb something and they start. I'm like, why are they doing that? I'm sorry. Yeah, I remember. Maybe if people hadn't hyped it as much, I probably wouldn't have looked at it through such a critical lens. But people were framing this as the best movie of the generation when it came to rom-coms.
And when she just randomly gets up and dances by that fireplace, I'm like, F yes, Natalie Portman, that's what you do. That's gonna win a guy's heart. It will. And also,
Natalie Portman.
they're in the bathtub. When they're in the bathtub, and she says, "You feel like home." Come on now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's great.
I was
And even the
I'm not
shot
saying
where
it's a
he's sitting
horrible
there-
movie, by the way. I'm not saying it's a horrible movie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was overrated.
Overrated. Yeah.
The grandma or the aunt, I think it's his aunt, that tells him about how she made him a t-shirt, like a shirt, and she used a leftover wallpaper, and then you see him in the bathroom wearing the shirt with the exact same design as the back. That's hilarious to me, man. It's like that offsetting comedy where it is awkward. So when you say it's awkward, it's supposed to be awkward. It's awkward comedy set by a guy that was depressed, that was totally medicated and coming off of it now. So it is supposed to be awkward, which is a little bit of what Amelie is to some extent, right? Like it's like that awkward kind of love, I guess, in a sense. So I like Garden State. I know what you mean. A lot of people really hyped it up. I don't think it's necessarily on that level, but I thought Zach Braff did a good job. I'm a huge fan of Scrubs, so I'm ready. I like Zach Braff, and I'm just a huge fan of Natalie Portman. I think she's awesome.
Oh, mine's Love Actually. I just don't like that movie. I don't like the movie Love Actually at all, and it makes me feel, I don't know. It's the one with Liam Neeson and Hugh Grant and Julianne Moore. No, who's not Julianne Moore, the other one, redhead. Laura Linney, and it's a British movie, and it's like takes place at Christmas time. And oh, really? You don't know what Love Actually is? People go nuts after this.
Wait, is
over
this
this
the one that had the
movie.
multiple stories?
Yes, it's multiple
And
stories, and like they kind
It
of go
had the guy
entwined.
from The
Yeah.
Walking Dead
Yes.
in there.
Oh,
where
Keira Knightley. And Keira Knightley. He's with the sign. You see this whole sign, "To me, you are perfect." You know that GIF and that meme is like, "To me, you're perfect." He's holding up the sign.
Yeah,
Andrew
while her
Lincoln.
like husband or boyfriend is right there in the house.
Husband.
Yeah.
I don't like that movie, man. It to me, again, it's a lot of heartbreak. It's a lot of, I don't know. It makes me feel ick about love after. And I know it's supposed to be Love Actually. That's what love really
But
is. But I'm
actually,
like, no.
it's not like that.
Yeah.
No,
We
I
actually
want to see what it's.
we actually talked about a scene from that movie on our last the Rom Com tropes episode that we did, and it's the one where the father takes the kid to the airport to catch the girl, his lover, and this kid just bypasses all security to make it all the way to almost the plane, and no one catches him.
I went with Bridget Jones's Diary. I know a lot of people like it, but like this thing spawned an entire freaking franchise. Like they had like a sequel to this, and I think a trilogy, right? Or is it just a sequel? Like, come on, dude.
Trilogy.
Like, really? This thing needed a trilogy? No, and like the whole idea is that she's on a quest for love and just writes it down in a diary. Like, who cares? Yeah, that's so original compared to people that are like 500 Days of Summer. Some of this other stuff we're talking about. Oh, you're writing in a diary. That's cool. That's unique. I don't give a shit.
It's more to be fair, that one's more of a female forward movie, like females can relate to it.
Sounds like backwards to me.
Well, I just feel like if a dude really liked Bridget Jones' Diary, I'd be like, okay. It'd be weird. It's okay. It's all right. Again, Hugh Grant, and it's just maybe I just don't like Hugh Grant. I don't know. It's meh.
Thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Star, where we just romanticize the hell out of you. You can follow us on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. You can follow us anywhere on Twitter and Instagram and Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. I'm your host, Pretentious Soundtrack. Follow me at King_Sangre.
I'm not your host, number 35. Breakfast is for closers. You can find me at This Is Mi Nombre on Instagram.
And I think that's a lovely soundtrack, by the way, Daniel. Not pretentious. It's a very good soundtrack for that movie.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I'm Drew Barrymore's Crooked Smile that they also mention in Fever Pitch, which is so cute. One of the things he loves about her. Anyway, you can follow me at Replays It All on Instagram.
Quick, we all have to do Crooked Smiles.
I don't know if the audience is just that into us, Dan.